welcome everyone back to another DeFi Raiders AMA. My name is Relentless. Today I'm talking to Crypt from Flair Dex, a 3-3 launching on AVAX. Welcome. Thanks so much for joining us, man. Really excited to talk to you. Seeker reached out to me on your behalf. You probably be interested in AMA. I'm obviously super excited. You go ahead and give a little intro of your background for the audience.
Yeah, first of all, thanks for inviting me to come here and speak. Of course, let's get started. So I will start with me and the team, and then we will cover maybe a little bit brief about the project. So I'm a full-time software developer. I work at a Web2 company, one of the largest fintech company here in India. The team right now is of 4 people, distributed team. We have 3 developers and 1 designer. Team is pretty small right now for the till the time we launch. Post launch, of course, we will have more people join it. Yeah. I think that's more about the team structure and how it is organized. I mostly look into the blockchain side of things. We have 2 more developers looking into UI and all the integration stuff, and of course 1 designer to you know get the UI things done. Yeah. So this project we started sometime back in December or Jan, sometime around that we started this project. I've been working on this, and initially we planned to launch on Aurora, but later we decided to make Avex our first home, and maybe in future we can explore other options as well. So yeah, it's a so our project Flair Dex. If I have to say about this, it's a solidly fork, of course, but with additional upgrades. We have some new features like partner fees, where we distribute a share of our revenue, basically the pool fees with our partners. This is to ensure long-term partnership with those protocols rather than just having a small VNFT partnership and then forgetting orders, so that they are also invested in our success. Apart from that, we have few other changes to improve upon the code, like the emission logic that we have. It's mostly borrowed from Velodrome, because those familiar with Solidly already know how quickly the emissions decreased. So we didn't want to do that. We want to keep incentivize liquidity for long. So that part we have borrowed from Velodrome with some of our own customization as well. So these are few of the changes. Apart from that, we have some other logic for changes in logic for whitelisting and stuff. So yeah, that's more or less about the project. Yes.
All right, very cool, very cool. Someone told me I was cutting out. Is that still an issue
Oh no,
right now?
it's perfectly fine right now.
Okay, all right. I'm I'm in a foreign country for my in real life job at a place with not necessarily the best Wi-Fi all the time. So hopefully this will hold up for me. Um, all right, so I guess first, don't want to dig too much into necessarily the solidly fork model. Obviously, that's like the new hotness, so everybody kind of knows what that is. But first, what I want to talk about is why you guys chose to launch on AVAX. Since it's not necessarily known as a DeFi haven currently, what did you guys kind of see as your market fit over there?
Yeah. So if you look at the top chains, let's look at the top 10 chains. I think there is one solidly fork or some version of it already present on each chain. Avax was the one without it, and it is, of course, it might not be the most preferred DeFi destination. I agree with that, but if you look at the number in terms of TVL, it's 1.5 billion plus. I think it is decreasing nowadays, but it is still significant. Apart from that, if you look at the daily volumes, it's around 30 million. Sorry, yeah, 30 million plus. So that's also significant. Of course, if we can bite a chunk of that, like other solidly folks are doing on other chains. If you look at let's say Thina, if you look at Equalizer, all those folks are doing incredible jobs. So yeah, so that's what the main reason is. A good amount of TVL, lots of volume that is there, And also we have a lot of protocols to partner to get the flywheels running, build on top of each other, and just like how the DeFi protocol interact, keep building on top of each other's like Legos. And yeah, yeah, that was like more or less the entire reason why we chose Avalanche.
Yeah, it makes sense. And I've said it in a couple of previous AMAs that I don't really think that AVAX is kind of getting its due here, considering the amount of volume and TVL that's there on that chain. So definitely can't argue with you there. I like AVAX. I don't do a ton on there currently, but I'm watching quite a few projects over there. I've been waiting for DeFi to kind of take its roots as it moved away from GameFi. So that's super exciting to hear. All right, so then you mentioned some of your main differences between Flair Dex, and the one thing that you talked about that I found interesting was the partnership kind of fee distribution. Do you want to kind of like dive into the specifics of that?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, so one of the features that we decided initially was, so if you look at the initial development of Solidly, it was more a protocol focused for protocols rather than just completely focusing on users. It focused on protocols. So the initial distribution model was something similar. They distributed their tokens as VNFT to all these protocols, right? So we believe in that vision, of course. So that was our initial aim, to make sure how we can cooperate with all these protocols, how to make them more invested in us, right? So that's where the idea came from, and we decided to build on top of that. So yeah, so right now what the partner fee does, so let's say if we have a partner, let's say we can take any protocol as an example. Let's say the protocol has a ABC, their native tokens, right? So whatever pools they create, let's say AVC, WFX, ABC, USTC. So once they provide their liquidity in any of our pools, whatever the swap fees gets generated, 3% of the swap fees will be with the pool, irrespective whether they have the liquidity on top of that or do not have any liquidity on top of that. So that way they remain invested in our success, because on if they are on any other decentralized exchange, they don't get this extra benefit. So in a way, they are more invested in us. The partnership has much more meaning than just having a VNFT. Of course, we also give them a VNFT to bootstrap the initial liquidity provisioning. Yeah, so that was the main idea, and that's why we decided to build it. So yeah, we have a lot of partners. Right now, I think we have 10, 11 partners, and few more we are in discussion with. A lot of things they have planned to build on top of that the moment we launch. Some of our partners, like we have Impermax, I guess many of the folks already know about. We have few other partners working for our liquidity wrappers, for yield optimizers, and other things. So the moment we launch, we will have a whole new flywheel working with the protocol to maximize yield, to have provide some liquid wrapping solutions for leverage lending and other things like that. So a lot of exciting things to be coming on, and all those partners are invested in us. So it's of course a long-term partnerships as well.
Yeah, very cool. It's cool to see as the solidly wars take over the kind of changes that are happening in each little one. There's only so much that you could theoretically change, but it's like those little things like that make such a huge difference. So it's super unique to see some of these things as they play out. So very cool, very cool. All right, so I guess let's kind of get into some of the specifics of everything here. So first, let's talk kind of your tokenomics. Do you want to cover your basic token structure and your token allocations as far as team, advisors, airdrops, etc.?
Yeah, sure. So the current tokenomics, if you look at that, it's divided into various chunks. We have tried to cover every basically the entire ecosystem of all our, whether it's protocol, whether it's our initial users, whether it's the seed investors, of course the team, marketing side, and everything. So right now the allocation looks like something like this. So the team has 10% of the total initial tokens. Initial token, we have decided to go with 100 million tokens, and weekly emissions that we will have will be around 5 million for the starting weeks, and then it will keep on decreasing at 1%, and then it will have a different emission decay like 0.5%, 0.25%, and a similar. So that we can cover maybe in detail later. So the current token allocation looks like this. Team keeps 10% of the token, out of which half of the token is max lock for 4 years at the day of launch, which will be used by team to vote on important uh, emissions, to drive emissions to the important payers basically. The remaining 5% of the team tokens is vested for 180 days, linearly vested for 180 days. The advisors and marketing another 5 million tokens, 5% of the initial supply. For launch partners, we have reserved 10% of our initial supply, and we will be providing them as V NFT to them so that they can bring their liquidity, incentivize that, and let keep working with us for the long term. Apart from that, we have pre-sale where we have 40 million tokens. Uh, 20 millions have been allocated for seed sale. We raised 90K in our seed sale. We completely sold out within 48 hours thanks to our major partners. And our public pre-sale is right now ongoing. So if any of you want to go ahead and participate, it's open right now. It will be up until Saturday. So that's the 40 million tokens, 40% of the supply. And yes, 20% we have reserved for the initial liquidity provisioning. And for community, yeah, community, we have 15 million tokens, out of which we are kept 8% for the airdrops, out of which 2% will be utilized for the pre-launch airdrops, which will be given as a basically, which will be a combination of locked VNFTs and FLDX tokens. Apart from that, we have some amount reserved for initial liquidity incentivization and partnerships. So yeah, that is more or less the entire breakdown. Try to cover as much as possible with our tokenomics, and yeah, that's it.
Yeah, very cool, very cool. And then so, one, the 10% team fees, I think that's very attractive for a lot of people. I'm a big fan of 15%, but when you go down to 10%, that attracts a lot of people itself. Um, so for your allocations to the advisors and for all the airdrops, how much of that is vested? What period of time is vested for? How much of it is locked, etc.
Yes. So advisors, the same thing will be followed. 6 months linear vesting. For marketing tokens, we don't have any vesting as such. The moment we make a partnership, we allocate the tokens. For the like you asked for the airdrops right now we are planning at a 70-30 ratio, 70% as locked VNFT and 30% as the FLDX token. Yeah, so this way we are going it, making sure we provide a combination of both of these to keep the overall circulating supply in check.
Yeah, very nice, very nice. Makes a lot of sense. Yeah, well thought out. All right, so then let's kind of transition here into the VE NFTs. So I got a couple questions there first. I guess the first most simple question is, what are the min and max lock times that you guys are looking at?
Yes. So right now the min lock time is 1 week, and the max lock time that we have is 4 years. Same thing borrowed from Solidly. We haven't changed anything in this part, so we are going ahead with the same logic: 1 week and four years.
Oh, okay, cool. Very nice, very nice. And then for your voting power, do you guys have, is there going to be voting power decay? How's that going to work?
Yes. So voting power decay is also the same way that it's a model. So every the moment as your NFTs basically start to age, it will have a the voting power will keep on decreasing. To gain back the voting power, you can again relock, increase the lock duration to regain that voting power. So yeah, it's the same logic that we are using. Decaying voting power, as well as dependent on the voting power will be also be dependent on the lock duration as well.
Yeah, okay, makes sense. And then something that I've kind of, been wondering if it was going to get instituted kind of widespread with some of the 3.3s. Have you guys thought about trying to implement the ability to lock for a certain number of weeks in advance, right? Because so many people tend to forget to lock or get busy. Have you guys considered trying to implement that at any point?
Uh, we hadn't thought about this, but it's actually a really good point. So certainly we'll go back and see if we can implement this. But yeah, like you mentioned, it would be a really nice feature to implement this. So right now it's not there, but yeah, in future version we will certainly look at it.
Yeah, I think something, I've always kind of wanted to be able to see that. That's something personally I would love, because I'm not one of those people who tends to bounce around in the pools that I vote in, right? I vote in the pools that either one I'm invested in, or just something that, I try to split my votes up between what helps the protocol that I'm invested in, and then whatever personally pools I'm invested in. So if I could potentially leave those locked for certain periods of time and not have to worry about changing anything, I think that would be great. So just something.
Yes, that makes sense. Certainly that makes sense right now. But yeah, we will also, of course, look at that. Like that will be a helpful feature. I also believe.
Very cool. And then for your percentage, go ahead. I gotta transition just a couple more things here. For the percentage of the rewards that are rebasing, what do you guys have there? What's your cap for the rebasing rewards?
Yes. So rebasing rewards. Again, this part we have borrowed from Velodrome, and but we have also introduced a max cap. So max cap we have set it as 15% of the total supply, total emission basically, total emission of that week. The weekly rebase will be max of 15%.
Okay, nice. I have seen some with much higher. So I know some people don't necessarily want their rewards to rebase, even though I guess there's an argument for both sides of the fence there as to how that benefits the protocol versus how that benefits the investors. So I think that's pretty good, pretty solid percentage that I don't think most people would shy away from. So all right, very cool. All right, so let's talk about kind of your Flair Dex token, and the emissions for that. What's
Yes.
kind of what's your emissions looking like on the rewards there?
Yes. So for the emission part, we have made our basically our own customized emission logic, borrowing the best from Solidly, Velodrome, and also implementing our own logic. So right now the emission looks like this. We have an initial emission of 5 million token, which will keep on decreasing like 1% till the week 52. Then it start decreasing by 0.5% till the week 104, basically 2 years. And post that will decrease at a rate of 0.25% till the time when we reach a tail emission, which will be like 100k tokens. And after that, it will continue with that. So that is something tiered custom decay that we have created. Apart from that, like I mentioned, we have rebases for the NFT holders. So 15% of that is for the NFT holders, and we have 3% for the team. 3% of the emission will go to the team every week, and we also have 2% reserved for Flair NFT holders. This is something that we plan on building in future. So once we build that out, 2% of our emissions will also go to those NFT holders. So that is something that I can't disclose right now what that will be, but that is something in the near future that we are planning to launch.
I guess I'll scratch that question. I totally saw it mentioned in the docs, and I was hoping to get some alpha on that. So, all right, well, I'll be paying attention for it. I love the NFT model that's built into some of the other 3.3s. So excited to see what you guys roll out there for sure.
Yeah, certainly. So this is basically I will give you some alpha. This will come as a part of our next protocol, which is called Flair Boost, which will basically a VNFT aggregator, which we are planning to build on top of the Flair Dex. So as a part of that process of that, we will also have plans for Flair NFT. Uh, the utilities and rewards we will disclose at that time. I've already disclosed one reward, but there will be others as well, which we will disclose later.
Yeah, very cool. And then do you want to kind of talk about the flare boost? I was going to ask a little bit about that. And then, yeah, if you kind of want to, kind of highlight what's the max boost, the best way to utilize those NFTs when they do launch, or your V NFTs when they do launch, when Flare Boost launches, I mean.
Oh, you there?
Oh, did I cut out?
Yeah, yeah. Now it's fine.
Oh, oh, sorry.
Did
Yeah.
I cut out?
I was going to say, do you want to kind of
Yeah.
talk a little bit about Flare Boost and how that's going to work with the V NFTs and the best way for people to boost their rewards with the V NFTs?
Yes. So right now, if you look at our protocol, we have also borrowed the one of the features, one of the incredible features that is the boosted rewards. So if you have a VNFT and you provide liquidity on top of that, then you get boosted award from the pools, boosted emission. So that's why we are building Flare Boost basically, which will be on top of Flare Dex, so which will be a VNFT aggregator. So you go deposit your VNFT or you go deposit your FLDX tokens. The protocol will lock that up and will basically become a major VNFT aggregator. And using that, it can direct the emission on top of Flare Dex. So more and more people will want to have the Flare Boost token basically to incentivize the TVL on Flare Dex. So yeah, so a lot of things, like I mentioned, we can keep on building these kind of DeFi logos on top of each others and keep expanding the overall ecosystem. So that's the plan. FlareDex and its companion FlareBoost, something like what Convex and Curve are. Convex is to curve, or if you want to say SolidX, which was initially meant for solidly, so something like that as well.
Yeah, very cool, very cool. Looking forward to seeing it. And then, kind of my last question with the V NFTs is: have you guys solved the split merge function? Are people going to be able to merge their V NFTs?
Yes, so that is something that we have actually fixed. So now,
Let's
once you
go.
vote on a pool, vote on a pool, you cannot merge your NFT for that cycle. Next cycle, you can reset your pool, basically reset all the votes that you have given, and then only you can merge your NFTs.
Very exciting. I know I've been asked that a bunch of times for different projects, and most people haven't. Some people weren't even thinking about it. So super cool that you managed to solve that. That's great. I love that. That gets me excited. Um, cool. Yeah. All right. So and then kind of the last. I don't know if you want to talk about it a little bit. Is you don't have really anything about it in the docs, but I know it's coming. Can you talk a little bit about Flare Tranche at all, or is that like super secret squirrel right now?
Uh, uh, don't want to give too much details, but in simpler terms, if I have to say, Flare tranche will be something to so basically we have Flare Dex, we will have Flare Boost, so we will have a lot of these tokens, lot of LP pairs, lot of basically if I want to say in simpler terms, yield bearing tokens, right? It could be in different forms. It could be an LP or a simple token with rebase in future, or any kind of token that has some yield accruing to it, right? So Flare tranche is one of the way we are trying to divide basically divide the risk. So it could have basically your LP token, for example, can be split into two, right? One could have a stable returns, let's say 3% APR, right? Another one could have like a volatile APR, which would be like 15%, or it could be less than 3%, like 2%, 1%, or even negative rewards, right? So basically, this way you can decide whether you want a stable reward with low risk, or do you want higher rewards with higher risk. So easier way to for investors to manage their risk. So that is something that we are planning. So tranche will come after Boost. So it will be Flair Dex, then we will launch Flair Boost, and then Flair tranche. We have planned all these three to be released this year itself. So yeah, that's the plan.
Yeah, that's great. I'm excited to see all that play out. You know, what we've seen with some of the previous three threes is kind of launch the base product, and then just kind of, you know, build the rest of it in flight without like kind of long-term plans, which I think in this type of environment with this many three threes launching, you know, being able to already have a roadmap for these different ways that people can benefit from the protocol is huge. And you guys have, you know, talking about some things that, you know, a lot of these other projects haven't mentioned at all, and thinking about things from a lot of different angles. So this is, you know, super exciting to see. Um, so yeah, I'm excited to see Tranche too, and see the kind of mechanics there. So very cool. All right, so let's transition a little bit to kind of, I want to talk a little bit about your treasury here, what you guys are doing there. So first question, what all fees is the treasury earning?
Yes. So right now, the treasury will earn two types of fees. One will be the weekly FLDX emission that I already talked about. 3% of the weekly FLDX emission will come to the treasury. Apart from that, we have 10% of all the soft fees that will be generated from all the pools that will also flow through the treasury. Yeah, so these two are the major revenue sources right now. As we keep on launching new future protocols, like Flare Boost, Flare Tranche, we will have new revenue sources built as well. So all those funds will keep on flowing to the treasury, and will incentivize the team as well to keep building for the long term.
Yeah, absolutely. And then what are your kind of your plans for managing the treasury? Are you guys looking, you know, what kind of things are you guys looking to invest treasury funds in per se to continue to build external value?
So right now the plan is fully focused on building. We don't have any plans for investing the treasury funds right now. So most of the treasury funds will be used for the day-to-day expenses, keeping the protocol alive, for marketing expenses, as well as like right now the team is just four people, so we will also have to expand the team to deliver on our roadmap. So expanding the team. So right now the plan is to invest the treasury into managing and expanding the protocol. But yeah, certainly as we grow, as our revenue sources grow, as we grow bigger, we will also plan like to invest in other projects, or maybe acquire other projects. We are seeing a lot of these days happening in the Web3 space. So all those things will be planned. But right now, I think we are in a very nascent stage to even think about that. So for the next year, I would say for the entire this year, we would be mostly focusing on developing the entire Flair DeFi ecosystem.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool. Makes total sense. And then if you guys do, you know, decide later on down the road, hey, we want to invest in some other things because we think these could bring a lot of return value to the treasury. Is that going to be something that you guys kind of look at putting into a governance type vote with the community?
Certainly, that is something that we can always decide on. We already have the VNFT token, so we can always set up a governance style structure. But that is too early for me to comment on. But yeah, already know how treasury are managed, and VNFT would be the one of the best way to govern a project. So of course, we will certainly look into that as well. But as I said, it's too early, and we don't have any plans for uh, uh, basically the decentralized management of treasury right now. So for the this year itself, it will be mostly the team deciding how to allocate funds, how to keep the protocol going up, and as we grow, then we can move to a more decentralized method of governing our treasury.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that approach at all. I think if you sometimes you try to go with the full decentralized governance too early, it's not necessarily the best way to get the project up and running, and you know, and to build that sustainability the way that you want to, especially with the plans that you guys have. Right, keeping everything focused is probably pretty important. So. All right, very cool. So then, all right, so let's kind of transition. I think we understand really the specifics of the project, and then, you know, what's coming and all that different stuff. Um, want to talk a little bit about the private beta. I know you guys canceled round 2 of the private beta, but what did you guys learn from the first round, and what were you able to fix prior to being ready for launch?
Yes, so the first round that we launched, it was for a selected group of our community, basically the folks with early supporter role on Discord. So they participated in our first round of testnet. We found a few issues, mostly UI issues that we have already fixed. We plan to launch a public beta as well, keep it running for a few weeks, but we thought like our product is already ready, so it will our plans would have gotten delayed. So that's why we decided to prepone the launch like by a week or two and cancel the public beta and just go for the quick launch. So that was the main intention. But yeah, in terms of learning, I think it would be mostly with the UI issues, the smart contracts and everything worked as expected with little to no major changes. So yeah.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I think it was smart. You've seen with some of these other launches, they're fixing a lot of the bugs up front that potentially could have been solved with a kind of private beta. Um, so obviously, it just gives great kind of peace of mind with how well thought out you guys have done a lot of these things. Um, all right, so then and then what kind of you already said that you guys sold out all your private seed for the seed sale. What kind of results have you seen so far for the public pre-sale? If I'm not mistaken, this was an overflow pre-sale model, right? So it wasn't actually hard capped. I know you had a goal in mind, but what have your results been so far?
Yeah, so we launched our pre-sale yesterday, public pre-sale, like we initially said in our previous MAs as well. So the main idea with the our seed round was to have enough funds to provide a meaningful liquidity and get the project running, so that we are sure that we can always launch our product, basically launch the project any day we want. We launched our public pre-sale yesterday. Right now, I think we have raised around 10K. The total plan is 120K. People are pouring in like it's an overflow model, so it runs till Saturday. Uh, we expect to raise the full amount. In case we don't raise, it's no bigger deal. We already have plans for the launch. The launch will most likely be done on Tuesday or in worst case Wednesday, and we will everything will work as usual. The tokens, remaining pre-sale tokens, will be burned. Or if you feel uh, or those who feel like it's worth investing in are still welcome to come and invest. It's an overflow model, so whatever the final amount uh, will be raised, you will get your token for that. We will keep 120K, which we have planned, and remaining will be refunded back. So yeah, so the launch is irrespective of the pre-sale. So launch is all prepared, all set, codes are all logged in, all we are just raising to go. Pre-sale, we will keep it running till the Saturday 7 p.m. UTC. So yeah, it's overflow model. So if you want to invest, you are more than welcome to. Final, we keep 120 and return everything back to the users.
Very cool. And then what's the difference between the private seed sale and the public pre-sale price?
Yes, so the private pre-sale we did at a price of $0.0045. Total we raised 90K, which was our target as well. And the total token allocated was 20 million FLDX tokens, which will be distributed in terms of 70% as FLDX and 30% will be as locked VFLDX. For the public pre-sale, the distribution is 20 million tokens. Total we are looking to raise 120K. The price per token is 0.006, and the vesting is not the vesting. Basically, the distribution will be 80% FLDX at launch and 20% will be locked as VNFT. So this is the distribution we are looking at. Whatever amount we raise, two-thirds of which we will directly put into the liquidity pools, our liquidity pool, and then lock it for 1 year, and the remaining will be used for protocol development and marketing initiatives, as well as creating bribes and other things to keep the protocols sustainable and up and running.
Okay, very cool. Um, yeah, not a huge price difference, especially considering the tokens are locked and vested there. So what's your anticipated kind of so what's going to be the circulating supply at launch then?
So if you look at the circulating supply, it will be something. So let's look at the logged thing, right? So if you look at the logged, team tokens are mostly logged and vested. So that's 10% out. 10% of the partners will be out as well because that's locked. Liquidity pool, if you look at the 20%, that will be locked for 1 year. So that is also basically out. So if you look at all those, it will be much, much less than 40 millions, assuming we fully raise the public pre-sale. If we not, then we will burn those remaining tokens and our final supply will be much, much lesser. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, makes sense. All right, and then so in line with launch, what are you guys kind of looking at as how you're going to launch? I know you're doing a fair launch, but we've seen now that you guys have had time to digest some of the major launch issues that we've seen with some of the other projects. What's kind of the approach that you guys are taking to have the smoothest launch possible?
Yeah, so the launch will be as planned. So the first week, like with other projects, the emission will start basically after the second epoch. So that's the same emission cycle. After the second epoch will start. So the launch will start with the basically we're providing the liquidity, deploying all the contracts, providing liquidity, and getting the DApp ready. Post that, all everyone who has participated in our seed sale, pre-sale, as well as some of the community airdrops that we have planned can basically withdraw their tokens, claim their tokens and VE NFTs from our DApp. Once that is done, it will be live. People can come and provide liquidity, start with the swaps, uh, and yeah, do all those things. The protocol will basically be active. Bribes can be created on top of that, and everything like that will be active. Post 2 weeks, emission will kick off, and yes, that's how the entire plan is.
All right, all right. I'm excited to see it launch. And you said it's Tuesday. I was going to ask you, but you beat me to it. So Tuesday at the latest Wednesday. Do you guys have a time in mind on Tuesday?
Yes, it will mostly be late in the evening so mostly like 5 p.m. UTC or 7 p.m. UTC, something like that, in late in the evening. So so that we have more people ready to engage with the protocol. And so that's the plan. We will of course communicate the exact date and time beforehand. Right now, we'll wait for our pre-sale to close and then we can announce both this time.
All right, very cool. I'll be paying attention. Um, and then, kind of my last question is I know you guys have announced a lot of your partnerships already on Twitter with Imprimax and stuff like that, and some of your other MCLB and all that. What other partnerships do you guys have in the works that maybe you can announce if you haven't already?
I would refrain from announcing that right now, but we have some partnership discussions going on with other some big name partners as well. Uh, Mostly we will disclose those post launch. But yeah, right now if you look at the number of partners, I think it's 11, yes, 11, and we have 2, 3 more in works, and more we will have for post launch. So we will be reserving a small percentage of our launch partner tokens, basically, to provide them post launch partners. So yeah, looking forward to working with all these great protocols to keep the DeFi ecosystem on the avalanche.
All right, I'll be paying attention. You guys already got a lot of good ones, so I imagine some good ones to be announced. All right, very cool. Well, that kind of wraps up the majority of the questions that I had. If anyone in the audience, we still have a little bit of time here. If anyone in the audience has any questions, please raise your hand. I'll bring you up and let you ask. And if not, then I'll turn the stage over to you, Crip, to put out whatever final message you have for everyone who's listening.
Yeah, first of all, I would like to thank you, of course, to invite me to speak and of course all the community members that have taken time out on a weekday to join this AMA. Uh, Really, really thankful to you guys. Thanks for being a part of this. And yeah, of course, again, I would like to mention that our pre-sale is still running. So if you liked what we are trying to build, like what we are trying to solve, and love our roadmap, then we would invite you to be a part of our project and invite you to be one of our token holders. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. No, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate your time. I'm glad we were able to get this worked out, and I will definitely be paying attention at launch, and super excited to see this play out for you guys.
Yeah, certainly. We are super excited too. Cool.
All right. All right, Crip. Thanks so much for your time. I hope you have a great rest of your night.
Yeah, thank you too. And same to you. Bye bye.
All right, everyone. Thanks so much for tuning in. Really appreciative of your time and support. We couldn't do this without you. If you're hearing this now on YouTube for the first time, please hit that like and subscribe button to help us expand our reach. Once again, I'm Relentless from DeFi Raiders. We'll see you next time.